Alright boys, Semphis here. We're going to make a quick video on how to speedrun a demo before a match. So, first off, this video is not for IGLs. This is for specific players, like you're a lurker, you're an opper, you're an entry fragger, that kind of thing. How to help you specifically. This isn't for a team. This is for a single player to help you personally do better. Not everyone at lower levels has an analyst and a coach and a huge support system that is going to do all the work for you. So you have to become self-sufficient and manage your time. So if you have more time, I always suggest, when I play professionally, I would always watch at least 3 demos per map. And when I say three demos, that doesn't mean I'm sitting there watching every single round for the entirety of the round. I'm just skimming through, skipping around, checking things, rewinding, trying to see patterns and that kind of stuff. But for the sake of this video, we're going to assume that something weird happened, or you don't have a lot of time, or there's too many maps, you don't know what maps are going to be, so you don't have, it's very, if you don't know what maps it can be narrowed down to, there's 7 maps in the pool. It's, 3 maps per demo, 3 demos per map, 7 maps. That's a lot of work. That's like a whole day's work. So I don't expect people in open and IM and stuff to do that, right? So this is more just single demo. All right, so let's say 10, 15 minutes before your match, your IGL's like, oh, I thought they were going to veto Vertigo and it's Nuke now, and no one's prepared for Nuke, and you're like, oh, we're not terrible at Nuke, but we're not great. What do? Quickly download their latest demo. If you have time for 2, great. If not, whatever. This is what I suggest. So let's say first off, pistol rounds. Should you counter pistol rounds? In my opinion, no. If they rush ramp in a demo, you can be aware of it and let them know that they like rushing ramp, and so the rotator can be closer. Like, you're allowed to say those type of things, but in my opinion, pistol rounds are too variable. Like, people can easily just change them in 1 second or fake off them. So what I like to do is, so here you see Heroic, they smoke mini, they throw flashes, they smoke molly-top hut. This is one of those things where if you're an inner player and you see that smoke and that molly come, you know that they're going to rush inner, right? So you can tell your team, like, rushing inner, they're going to come out hut, you know that they're primarily coming out hut. That's good information to know. So it's better to log it, and if you witness something, then know it. Now, let's say you're the ramp player, right? So on the ramp player and outside player are probably the most dangerous spots, on ecos. They're the most likely spots to get hit. I mean, people do rush inner, but it's less likely, I feel. So, like, when you're ramp, you just, if you say you're the ramp player, you just kind of want to see what they're doing, like, what do they do? Do they drop AKs? Do they buy deagles? Oh, they just randomly jump through the thing, like, so that's good to know, right? It's good to know, like, how they do it. Oh, they actually ignored it and went under heaven. That's good to maybe, your rotator can know that information. It doesn't guarantee they do it. Again, kind of like pistol rounds. You kind of just want to log the info of kind of like what to expect, but not really like, don't change your whole playstyle expecting that to happen, because it can change so much. I don't like fully committing to a change of playstyle for pistols and anti-ecos and stuff like that. I think it's too risky from my experience, Now we're going into the first gun round, so like, what is the most valuable information to find on Nuke? Doesn't matter who you are, opper, ramp player, inner players. What is the number one thing you should be looking for on Nuke? How do they use their smokes, and where do they go off their smokes? This is gonna by far and large benefit every single person on your team, whether you're the ramp player, whether you're the opper, the inner player. This will help everyone because it just gives you somewhat of an idea what they like to do. Because some people, they throw walls of smoke only when they go down secret. Some people throw walls of smoke every round, and sometimes they all go down. Sometimes they only send one guy down. Sometimes they send, no one down, and they, maybe they hit upper off of it, right? So there's a lot of things you can do off a wall of smokes, but not every team is going to utilize them correctly, especially at a lower level. Some of the teams you play may never even throw walls of smoke, so that even gives you more information. It lets you go for more information with an op. You can go maybe a little bit more aggressive. When people aren't throwing walls of smoke, that generally means you can play heavier towards ramp, and it generally means you can play heavier towards ramp and inner, and kind of a little bit more passive outside, unless they're maniacs that are just jumping off Twinkie and just scrimming outside or whatever. But yeah, so what would I do? If you have the least amount of time, this is what I like doing. Just come up here in this thing and just kind of see what do they do. Like, what do they do outside? Watch this. Now, so they threw the setup smoke. They're just kind of 3 guys over there, right? You know, 2 in lobby, you know, 3 outside. They're just kind of chilling. So now we see the smokes they throw, right? So now they throw the smoke. They throw, I call these G2 smokes, but you know, everyone has different names for them. So they throw the mini wall, and then off of that, they try to go lobby and hit inner. So this guy kind of lurks out. So this is one of those rounds where you don't necessarily do anything with this information yet, because you need to see more of what they're doing on nuke, right? So you can't just be like, all right, if they're gonna do walls of smoke, they're gonna go inner off of it, right? Like, or if they do G2 smokes, they're gonna go inner. Like, you can't conclude that yet, right? So, I mean, I'm doing this for the video, but generally, you know, when you see what you want to see, you just skip around, right? So then again, you know, you can kind of do this thing. You know, they lost the round. You can kind of look again. So it looks like they like to throw that the close smoke gets thrown by CT. They kind of wait out the mollies and stuff. Refresh has got the hero AK. So on a low buy round, there's a good chance they do this in multiple games, okay? Like, there's a decent chance that on, like, a low buy, forced buy, this is something you'll see them do. So this is, like, important to know if you're the mini or the outside player. Just being aware that on low buys, they're just going to kind of prod, and you don't need to give them the kill. So on these type of rounds, what, you know, FaZe is doing is really good. They're not committing everywhere, because without committing, the T's are going to have a very difficult time actually scaling into secret, scaling into mini, or anything without just getting shot in the side, right? Because they don't have a lot of nades. And they don't have a lot of guns or op or anything, right? So, see Twist, he peeks there and dies. I mean, at some point you got to get info, right? But I'm just saying, you know, for the most part, yeah, for the most part, you just kind of want to see what they kind of like doing. Obviously, this is higher level, so they're going to be a little bit more patient. You're going to see a lot more quickly. Baby Katie! Again, you know, no one has an op really on CT yet. Cadian has one. If you're an opper, what you can do is you can go around and you just kind of want to watch Cadian every round. So, like, if I'm an opper and you don't have a lot of time, I would watch the walls of smoke outside to see what they do off the smokes. And then I would quickly skim through the opper. So just as an example, I would literally just watch Cadian like this. You know? Just because you don't have a lot of time, right? You're trying to do this quickly. Alright, so this doesn't really matter, you know, like, he went ramp with it. What does he do the next time he has an op? Alright, he comes squeaky, goes for a pick, goes back to ramp. Alright, well, pretty standard stuff. Alright, no op. Skip that round. You know, is he going to op again this round? Nope, they're saving again. Alright, skip this round. Alright, op again. What are you doing? Alright, pick squeaky. So now you know there's a very good chance that he loves peeking squeaky. You know, he picks squeaky, pick ramp. Maybe he'll cut, and then he goes outside late. So that kind of gives you an idea that you probably don't have much resistance towards outside. You don't really have to fear an opper kind of like peeking you on top of the box. Now, this is where watching more than one demo helps, because you never know. Maybe he just did this, you know, maybe he just did this because of an anti-strat or whatever. But again, here he is, kind of just, you know, opping towards, you know, squeaky. Again, you just kind of towards lobby ramp. So as you can see patterns. Like, this is one of, you know, the better oppers in the world. IGL, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. And you can kind of see, like, there's just a pattern here, right? Went towards squeaky again. And you can do this way faster than I'm doing. Obviously, I'm talking and stuff, right? Again, squeaky again. So, like, this is kind of what I mean, is, like, you want to make sure that if you're an opper and you like to go for mini peaks, or you're a mini player and you like to swing mini, that you know that. That you know that this guy is waiting for you. You shouldn't ever die to him. If you watch Cadian's demo and you just swing mini and die, you're a fucking idiot. So you have to be able, you know, to remember these things and relay that information to your team. Because that, you could tell, you will save your mini player's life. Be like, yo, Cadian loves blowing open the door or Eing open the door and picking it, and he'll go and pick ramp after, right? So your ramp player and your mini guy know to be somewhat careful that they don't get picked, right? Because it is a pretty easy thing. So that's just an example for an opper. So we'll just go back a little bit. For an opper, just an easy way to kind of just counter Cadian or whatever. Now, if you are the ramp player, so let's say you're the ramp player. Is this a buy round? I don't care about this round. So you're a ramp player, and what do you want to know as the ramp player, right? So this round, Brokey went towards ramp, picks it for really quick, and then he leaves. It's kind of like a forced buy. Olaf's playing ramp with MP9. What do you want to know if you're the ramp player? Your main goal is to know how often do they hit ramp with all 5, or 4 at least. You'll be able to tell in a demo if a team likes prioritizing ramp or not. They might throw a lot of walls of smoke and hit ramp often off of it, right? So if that's the case, if you notice, for example, that a team is constantly 4-1ing ramp or rushing ramp or whatever, that is really good to make sure that your opper can be close to you. Maybe tell your opper to play near heaven and be ready to rotate to you. Maybe even just get a rifler to come and play with you if they're being that obvious, like if they're a team that literally is coming ramp. Just because it's not common to play 2 ramp, if you notice in a demo that they're literal if you notice that their main objective is to end ramp, then it's not dumb to stack ramp, at least in the first second gun round, to really show them that ramps on lock don't come here, So that's why it's important to just kind of have some sort of information that you can go off of. Now, what else should you look for if you're the ramp player? You should be looking for what does their lurker do when they don't go ramp, right? So, for example, they just do a normal default. So, this is kind of a weird team because they're not really 4-1ing outside a whole lot. So let's try to get to a round where they do more of a walls of smoke type of strat, right? So I've noticed more teams are chilling around lobby and not utilizing outside quite as much on nuke, at least in the start of the round. But there's Katie go for the ramp pick. First smoke comes out. So you're the ramp player, and what do you do? Well, I don't know if I'm going to have an example of it in this demo, but what I would say is, let's say the other team is they're doing walls of smoke, they're dropping mini, they're going 3 behind red, they go secret a lot, or they take over big garage. You want to just see, is their lobby lurker the type of person that's going to try to 1v1 you? And if so, does he do it a lot? Or is it just maybe once a half, right? Because if you know their lobby lurker is the type to never ever pressure ramp ever, what you can do is just leave ramp. As a ramp player, say you're Olaf right now and you know for a fact, I watched 2 nuke demos, this guy never lurks ramp when they're outside. He always just sits back a lobby on blacktop waiting, and he doesn't really do anything. Then you can just leave randomly. And when I say leave randomly, I don't mean just leave for no reason. Maybe you save your smoke a little bit and you jiggle, and then as you're falling back, you throw your smoke and you just come out to play outside a bit, and then you go and get it a little bit later, right? So you're kind of closer to outside. Again, that's a little bit of a gamble because if someone decides, but if you watch some good players, some of them will just leave ramp. And if you're one of those people that you don't like to take a risk like that, say you don't like to take the risk of just leaving ramp in a 5v5, which is fair because, objectively it's not the smartest decision, you're kind of going off a little bit of a gamble / read. What you can do is if someone on your team dies, you know that you can go help with the trouble outside or inner without really worrying about ramp, and that is not dumb. Because if you're down 5v4 and you know that someone doesn't like lurking ramp very often, if at all, and you just sit there watching ramp, you're being worthless, So that's probably the better way to use the information of if there's an early death, maybe your opera got picked or something, then you want to leave ramp, smoke it, molly it, and just dip, right? Again, when this team is not doing a ton of walls of smokes in the traditional sense, at a lower level, you're going to see a lot more of just, you can just hover your crosshair here, and you're going to see a team will always throw this smoke, and then the 2 walls of smoke, and then you'll see kind of more patterns. You kind of just float up here, and you'll see oh, they only send one guy down, or like maybe you can even chalk it up like 75% of the time they go secret, or 75% of the time they try to go under heaven. Like if you can just kind of get a generalized sense of what they like doing the most, it'll just help your rotates and help people on the you move around the map, especially as like an opper, right? Because if you're an opper and you're opping outside, and they never try to go under heaven or take big garage, and they always throw walls of smoke and either go secret, split mini, or go ramp / inner, you don't really have to worry about the big garage under heaven lurk, and it will let you be able to stay in like much more like advantageous spots. Like you can go secret a little bit more, you can opt towards ramp and heaven a bit more. You don't really have to worry about outside the same way that you might versus a team that's a little bit more likely to go under heaven, because under heaven splits, if a team does it right, is one of the hardest things to deal with on Nuke. Because as soon as you're an opera and you get pushed back, if you don't have a rifler helping you, it gets really difficult. Now, obviously, everything is subject to change here. Not everything I'm saying is a fact. Not everything I'm saying will happen every time. I'm just trying to give you guys some ideas of, like, quick ways to do it. Obviously, it probably doesn't seem that quick because I'm showing you, like, multiple rules. But yeah, like, you know, like, here we go. Walls of smoke, right? So this is the first time we've seen, like, a true walls of smoke. And they just walk down. They just walk down, right? Zero sound. No nades. No sound anywhere. So that's like kind of good to know, right? Does it guarantee they do that? No, it doesn't. But if you watch 2 or 3 demos, you know. So here we see it again. So they threw the same walls, and this time they're doing something different. They made the footstep over there. Cadian's peeking outside. And you see they just kind of creep in minis. So another thing that you can take from this is that you can't cheat or predict anything off their smokes, which is also fine to know, right? So if you notice a team really is very hard to read, then that's fine. That just means you have to play off of like other information around the map, like what your ramp player hears lobby, you know, telling people to make sure nothing's open, right? So you're not always going to be able to get what you want out of a demo, but knowing they have tendencies or none at all is still useful to know, right? Yeah, so that's like mostly what I would do for CT side. You know, obviously on the flip side of this, I'm not going to go and find everything, but like if you're an inner player, for example, you probably just want to hover your camera above the site and just fast forward and just see how they hit inner. Because like all you really want to know is like, do they primarily come out hut or squeaky? When they do inner execute, or what nades do they throw? Do they molly top hut? Do they molly Mustang? Do they molly back silo? Do they molly second vent all the time? Like, do they never molly second vent? Like, what do they do on their take, and what will be hard for you to stop? Is the molly gonna kill? Do they molly both the spots you love playing? Do they rain 10 million flashes? Like, it's good to know the main things they like throwing, because it doesn't. There's no guarantee of when they're gonna hit inner, but when you hear it coming, it kind of gives you an idea of like where to be on the hit and where the hit is coming from. And just being confident in knowing how they're doing something will make your life easier, because it doesn't feel like you're guessing all the time. Now sometimes you'll die. Like sometimes you'll think something's happened and you're gonna do something off of the demo or off of it, and it's gonna get you killed. But the thing that you have to realize is that like over time you're gonna get better at making the correct decisions and being able to utilize the data you see in the demo better over time, right? So the very first time you watch a demo, like maybe you were like, oh, this guy never watches the ramp smoke walkthrough, so you just try to walk through the ramp smoke, and you're like, I'm gonna get this cheeky round, the first gun round, I'm just gonna walk through his ramp smoke, and then he just crouched behind the smoke with an MP9 and kills you. Well, you're probably going to think to yourself, well, I'm not doing that again, you know. And that's this kind of stuff that happens is like sometimes you can feel like you could even watch 4 demos, and you never once see him watch the smoke, and he does, right? So you have to be careful in like how far you go with the anti-strats, but yeah. Now when you flip it to the T side, I'm just pretending we're phase in this demo, obviously, but on the T side, you know, generally you kind of just want to look at like their rotation. So again, pistols are going to change so much that like, you know, is it good to know that when if you rush ramp that this is their setup? Yeah, but I wouldn't counter it, you know. So again, same pistol kind of logic applies. I don't really like, you know, countering the pistol. Still good to know what setups they like to run in case you encounter it, but for the most part, I like to just run my own pistols. I mean, if you really think they're going to do the same pistol, the best thing you can do is try to bait out if you can figure out if they're in that setup. You know, like maybe you jiggle and you see the guy at the back of the ramp box. Maybe you determine that means they're doing the triple ramp. You know, you can always do little things like that, but again, you know, I just not a huge fan of the countering of pistols. So here, you know, it's an eco round. As T's, you can still see kind of like how they like to play. So they have a guy big, they have a guy heaven, they have a guy secret, one ramp, and then they're playing inner from mini. So, you know, you can gather how, like, this is more for an IGL than for you as a player, you know, on these rounds. So it's not, that's why I say just kind of fast forward and look at however much time you have should be how long you have the, like, that you're going to spend watching, right? So then you can see, like, what do they do on their first gun round when they have their kind of bad guns? Like do they like, you know, pushing with SMGs? They got aggro outside, you know, that kind of stuff. 2 ramp, like you just kind of want to see, like, in general, how do the CTs like playing? And for me, I like to see when they have more guns, because people do more random stuff when they have SMGs and scouts and stuff, and it's not always like consistent. But when people have full buys, that's when you're going to kind of see generally the spots they like playing. So this guy's playing top hut. This guy's heaven spotting. You know, so you can see, you know, they kind of like playing a setup like this. You know, there's a dude heaven, there's a dude second vent, top hut. You know, you just want to get general vibes for like where they're playing and what they like to do off of what you do, right? So, you know, every round they're kind of mulling that front of hut. If you're an opper, you just kind of want to be watching Cadian. Like, where does Cadian go in for picks? You know, he's you know, picking squeaky again. This is something that more and more oppers are doing. You just kind of want to see, you know, depending on what your role is. Like, if I was an opper, I would just be watching Cadian, like, and looking through the entire demo just to see where he picks, so I don't get caught off guard by him, right? And then also, again, relay that to your teammate. Like, if he's always picking squeaky like that, make sure your lobby guide knows, like, yo, the opper, he likes to, you know, he likes to scrim in his squeaky and look for picks, you know, like, you just need to pass that info over, right? How does the ramp player play? Does the ramp player play to fight, to drop? Are you the lobby lurker? How easy is it to lurk on the ramp guy? One thing you can do is, if you're the lobby lurker, again, you just put your camera up here and literally just fast forward to see, like, does he play to drop? Does he play to fight? Does he always play on the right side of ramp, the left side of ramp? Does he play U-haul? Like, you'll notice that certain players do the same thing every time. Like, they never do anything different. So it makes it a lot easier when you walk out. So, like, this is like, what, the second time we've seen Stavin play on the left? Good thing to note that, right? That sometimes they're gonna have 2 ramp when you go there early. Yeah, so there's pretty much all you need to do is, you know, just like I said, just quickly go through stuff like this. You know, you can see Testes really likes throwing that smoke in the flash and peeking behind it. I've watched other demos of him, so I know that he likes to do that. And then you can see, like, he likes to play around this box. You know, like, he plays on the box, the ramp. I don't see him play the left too often. You know, again, again, this is all you really need to do, right? You see there, he throws the smoke, throws the flash, peeks behind it. They rush inner, you know. That's all you guys need to do, you know. Just look for tendencies, that kind of stuff. You know, I try to make this video not too long, just some quick tips, you know, things you can do. Hope it helps. Again, just you can literally do this in like 5 to 10 minutes right before a match, and it's always gonna help. You know, like literally, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't do this. Honestly, I don't care if you're playing open, you're playing IM main. You know, I don't care if you have a match and you want to win. You know, and you have 15 minutes. Download the demo, and if you're an offer, you know, just watch Katie in all 30 rounds. You know, just quickly, just skim through like. Where does he like rotating? Like, how does he move? You know, like, just try to be more prepared, guys. Like, it helps so much. So I hope that this helps a little bit. If you guys have any other, like, critiques of my videos, just let me know. Trying to do a bit more, so peace.